things that we're trying to do is really line up our work and some of the things we did around climate with the virtual world. And so this is just an example, and clearly some of these things don't pertain to all of us in this meeting right now. But this is one of the things our staff has been working on, is trying to have kind of the expectations and lined up with our 3 core values. So perseverance, community, and integrity. So our climate team kind of created, working on making some expectations around whole group learning in this virtual world. And so this is just something you might start seeing, or something similar from your students' teachers when they kind of review or get ready to start a meeting. And so I wanted to model that as we start our meeting today. And so you can see under perseverance, they got the ask your questions by raising your hand or typing in the chat. And so with our students, that would look like just you could raise your hand on here, or they'll have emoji to actually raise their hand if they had a question. Like I can go and push this, and they're downloaded automatically on theirs. If you're coming in on your own account, you might not have that. And then also is just being present. And that's one of the hardest things I struggle with. I engage great with people in person, but when you've got a screen in front of you, that's just not as engaging. And there are a lot of other things I can get distracted by. So it's just trying to remember people like to persevere through that and kind of stick with what the topic is and what we're trying to learn. For community, we kind of talked through the fact of using kind words and faces. So when other people are talking, kind of thinking about how you're being received by others. And then turning your video off if you got a lot of craziness going on around you, because we know the situation isn't ideal all the time. It's not in my house either when I'm trying to have these meetings. And so it's just knowing that that's okay to do. Stay on mute until it's your turn to share. And then also keep your passwords and class codes private, so we don't share with other students that could jump into our meetings or disrupt this for you and your class, not for others. And then also, then we go into the integrity piece of just only sharing school appropriate pictures or sites, share your thoughts when asked, type in the chat, answer a poll, or unmute to speak. So just talking about how do we kind of show that integrity within the classroom. So these are things you'll kind of see covered with teachers when they start their groups, or when they're starting in the morning and reviewing to kind of get kids in the habit. Our teachers have been so impressed with our students this year and coming in and getting started, as far as just like kids knowing better than us adults a lot of times when to mute, when to unmute, when it's their turn to talk, how to kind of follow these things. So it's been cool to see them translate that into this fall. And now our goal is really to just get every student there. This is kind of our agenda for the night. So as you can see, we're starting. I was trying to build in some time for everybody to get logged in and going. We'll do a little welcome and introductions. I had up there welcome and introductions. I thought Michelle DePass was coming at the beginning of our meeting, our school board member that's going to come talk, but she's going to come around 6 o'clock. So I moved her down a little bit. And then we'll kind of go over some school-wide information. She'll share her piece around a little after 6 o'clock, and then we'll do some breakouts. This is a rough time. If anybody knows me, I tend to get through things faster than what is expected. So if I'm also going too fast, or you want me to clarify something, feel free, if you're feeling comfortable, to unmute and ask me something or ask for some clarification. I'm also going to stick on at the end. If you can see there where it says 6:15, 6:15 is going to be the latest. I'm going to give you your links to start going and meeting with teachers, but I'll stay on here if you want to bounce over and see a teacher and talk to them and come back and talk to me, or if you want to stay and talk to me about some things or ask some questions before you go see your teacher. And when we go to breakout rooms to teachers, they're not trying to do like a whole presentation, because it doesn't really work that great in this format. They're going to be more there to like share some of the information, what they're doing, really answer your questions, talk about some of the plans for the year, just to get you connected to anything if you're not connected, as far as, with communications and being able to see what your students are doing. So, this is our virtual reality right now. I would say the first thing I really want to make sure is that everybody's connected. And so this year, if you remember last year, we did a lot with Class Dojo. As we moved the entire school to Seesaw, and really the district moved everybody pre-K5 to Seesaw, Seesaw has a similar communication with Seesaw Family. So we decided to not have multiple apps for families. So if you don't have Seesaw Family connected to your teacher yet, that's something that today you could get done with your teacher when you go meet with them in the breakout, so that you can get those same kinds of messages, and actually even more, because it's connected to the Seesaw classroom for your student and what they're working on. So when you break out, figure out how to get connected if you haven't yet, because that's going to give you a lot of the same communications we had in Class Dojo, as far as just like the regular notes teachers are sending out, communications they got going on, but also some updates on how your students are doing as far as getting their schoolwork completed. The other thing, hopefully you're all connected. If you're not getting a weekly newsletter from me it's Mondays is when I actually send it out. If you're not getting a weekly newsletter from me, well, you can check in with me and let me know, and we can get your email updated in our system. Because I try and get out a newsletter, and I even did it over this past summer, just to keep people posted on what's going on and what's happening at BEH. And that's a good way to stay connected and have hopefully a lot of your questions answered. And the other one is the YouTube channel, and I should have linked it in here. But essentially, there's a YouTube channel that you can link to off of our Facebook page on our website. But then also, if you just Google Boise-Eliot Humboldt on YouTube, you can usually find it as well. And Tina and I have started doing our weekly videos again this week, which we usually do when we're in session, just kind of updates. And then usually you'll find some informative or hopefully helpful or funny videos on there from staff as well. And we keep ones from last year too, if you want to check out some of that. The other big thing that I've been working on a lot, I've become apparently not just a principal, but also tech support, and so have a lot of our teachers, is making sure that we got touchscreen Chromebooks to all of our kindergarten through second graders. So if you have a kindergartner through second grader that does not have a touchscreen Chromebook, call us. I'm sorry we haven't been able to answer the phone the past week because we've been shut out of the building, but we will be back in the building tomorrow. Call us and set up a time we can trade you out for a touchscreen Chromebook and get it working if you're K through second grade. If you're third, fourth, or fifth, if you have a Chromebook and it's regular, that's fine as long as it works. If you're having any issues with it, give us a call and let us know, and we can try and help you get that up and running, because that's, right now, that's the barrier to being connected and succeeding in school right now, because we can't have you in person yet. So I just want to put that out there. And also Clever badges, which are those like QR codes that you hold up to your Chromebook to get logged on. If you don't have one of those and you feel like that would be a huge help, just connect with your teacher, let them know, or call the school and let us know, and we'll work on getting you one. It's essentially just a little badge you hold up to get scanned on. We make sure almost all of our K2 have them, but also if older students need that just to, get around the password sometimes or make it a little easier, just let us know. We want to reduce the barriers to getting connected to the classrooms and things. And then same with internet. If you're having issues with internet, I know I had one parent let me know that she had, I think she had 6 children in her house on a daily basis trying to access their classes, and it was bogging down her internet. And so we're able to kind of work with her and figure out solutions around helping that out, whether it was getting a hotspot for a couple of them to use or whatnot. Just reach out to the school and let us know, because what we want to do is really reduce those barriers and get people able to participate in what we're trying to do. I wanted to, oh yeah, there you go. Robert put in the YouTube channel in the chat if you want to check that out at any point too. You can click on that. Shifts this year, we got a couple things that have kind of changed this year, and you probably saw some of them. One of them is we have a second pre-K classroom this year, and they added 3-year-olds to it for this year and moving forward. The only thing to know, though, is that would have meant twice as many pre-K students this year, except that because of the COVID restrictions, they're actually half enrolling both classrooms, so that if we do come back to a hybrid, that pre-K can be here every day. So they're trying to not over-enroll. They're trying to enroll enough students for what would be here if we were on social distancing protocols, so that every pre-K, because I think those younger grades and our special education students are who we're trying to prioritize to get here every day if we can, once we get back to even a hybrid model, which would be my prediction of where we're going to go next. Once we do get back in buildings, I'm not going to predict we're going to go straight back to full back to school. I think we're going to go back to a hybrid first before we're able to transition back to full school. Also this year we added music, so that means we have music, PE, art, and library. And so every student, even when we're virtual, will have one time a week with each of those live, and then there'll be recorded lessons going with their live time as well. We also shifted 1st through 5th grade to a departmentalization approach. So that means essentially we have teachers at every grade level, 1st through 5th, that are specializing in math, science, health, and then language, arts, social studies. With the exception of 1st grade, since we have 3 teachers, they split it up a little bit differently. But essentially, every student works with every teacher at each grade level, and those teachers, that now allows them to kind of really focus in on the subjects that they're teaching and kind of get a little deeper into that. And then also get a lot more added professional development and training in those areas. And it allowed us to split our support teams, so that then now we have like the math science kind of support team and like the literacy social studies support teams to help get those teachers and have them meet and really try and give the best academic experience hopefully that you're going to get by having those specializations across every grade level, 1st through 5th grade. Kindergarten, we didn't want to jump to that first because it seemed a bit overwhelming to start kindergarten and have multiple teachers when it's a lot of times your first school experience. And then the other thing is just we added social emotional supports this year, mainly the qualified mental health professional, which you'll get a chance to meet if you go to the social emotional breakout later today. He added to our team of where we already had our therapy intervention coach, our school psychologist, and we have a new community agent this year you can meet there too, and our student success advocate, along with our school counselor. So we've got a pretty robust team as far as like social emotional supports. And as we're going through distance learning, they're going to be ones that are also reaching out to families to see how they can help if we're having issues or we're feeling like we need some extra resources or supports. A couple things as you hopefully are starting to get into the rhythm of your schedules. Oh, and I saw a question about wanting to know what names were. The names of our social emotional support team. Oh, the new social emotional support team. So our Troy Loker is our qualified mental health professional. Some of you might already know, well, hopefully already know Elizabeth Dawson is our counselor. And then Jason Sloan is our student success advocate. Ian Gustafson is our therapeutic intervention coach. Brenda Eads is our new community agent. And then James Stevens is our school psychologist. So schedule priorities, one of the things we really wanted to look at was making sure that new instruction that's being given to students, so like things that we're teaching a lesson and it's something that would like the core of the lesson is being recorded by teachers and posted. So you'll notice that, you know, we're getting into the rhythm of getting that going, of recording and posting those lessons, because the thinking behind that is that if families, which a lot of families have all sorts of different schedules when your kid isn't actually in school because you all got to work and got other things going on, is that hopefully then if you miss a time, that's there to go and review. So we wanted to make sure nobody missed the like core lesson that's being offered and that those would be recorded and posted. So that was one of our priorities. The other one was making sure the live time prioritized small groups each day. And so every day you'll notice in your schedule that your student should be meeting with their teacher in a small group at least once and often twice. Once for literacy, one for math. Sometimes on Wednesdays, that's a little bit different just because we have professional development in our afternoons on Wednesdays right now across the whole district. And then additionally, each day, you're starting your day as a whole group, just kind of starting your day live to get kind of the day rolling. So one of the things we wanted to do was make sure that routines were really in place for our students about when the day starts and when the day ends. So all your students also then end with their specials. So then, and specials are live 4 out of 5 days a week. And then the 5th day is asynchronous, which is just recorded times to go and check out or activities to go and participate in. And then the other piece is just the opportunities for independent skill practice and review of recorded lessons. You'll see a lot of time within your day that is more flexible, to where there's a lot of opportunities to go and do programs, to go and answer teacher questions they might put up there or assignments, or go watch some of the videos that teachers are posted. But we wanted to make sure that that also created some flexibility to work around schedules that seem to vary, you know, from household to household. So we wanted to put those as priorities when we're building our schedule. And I think I'm always open to feedback as you're kind of going through that, if there are things we can do to try and improve, or, you know, talking with teachers to make sure we can do the best to line up. The challenge is just the live times are the ones that are hard. You can only have those at certain times. So it's just working around and trying to make that work for every family. One of the things I wanted to talk about, because I think it's been a little bit of a hot topic around Portland, or around everywhere, I guess, in distance learning, is just assessment. And so one of the things to know, like the importance of assessment, is the fact of, and I think people get in their head that assessment is like standardized tests. But assessment is really anything we're doing to kind of figure out where your student's at academically in the subject we're trying to teach them in. And so regardless of what the topic is, we've got to know where students are and what they're doing. And especially after we had that spring, and then now we had all of summer, and then now we're starting in virtual in fall, we're going to be doing some pieces where we're trying to figure out where students are at academically so that we can really group them and help meet the needs of where they're at and give them assignments that are going to line up with whether they're, you know, at a kind of emerging level of learning that skill, if they're right at where the skill level is, or if they're a little bit ahead, how do we make sure that we're giving students what they need academically? And so that can look anything from like an assignment that the teacher's posting all the way to like a more formalized test. It also can be even just groups where they're asking your students questions and calling on them. That's teachers assessing to kind of figure out if they know if they've got that skill yet. And it's really important, I think, that when we're doing that, that we're making sure that we're kind of letting students focus on that. I think it can be really easy. I had this conversation with my wife yesterday to kind of help tell the student, be like, you know that already, or having those kinds of conversations when you're there as the parent, helping keeping them engaged. So I think just some quick reminders of if you're sitting, and a lot of times, you know, we always appreciate you sitting and helping when you do have the time to do it, especially with our youngers, because sometimes it helps maintain that attention. But just making sure you're allowing them to kind of do that work on their own without prompting. Because even if you know they know it, part of the skill of school is always the fact of, can they reproduce it and do it in a context that doesn't have some of those supports? And so then that helps teachers understand what do they need in order to get to that place. And so doing your best to kind of not give them the answers, or, you know, I had to tell my wife, because when he would raise his hand, she'd get stressed out. He didn't know the answer. And so she'd like tell him, what are you going to say? And trying to coach him before he unmuted. I was like, you got to let him learn that. You got to let him figure that out. In the classroom, you wouldn't have been there. And so just keep that in mind too, of kind of just how do we help support without necessarily affecting the assessment of where the student's at, so that we can help get them there. Because I promise you, our teachers are working to get everybody at grade level or above grade level, and whether or not they answer one question right or wrong isn't going to change that. We want to keep it moving forward, but sometimes if we don't get accurate information, we might miss something. So I just wanted to kind of remind people of that. And if there's ever something as you're sitting and supporting that you feel like the assessment wasn't representative or it didn't quite work for your student, just, you know, let the teacher know. Send them a quick email saying, hey, you know, I noticed this thing. I didn't like how that was asked. I didn't think that. But just communicate. Like, that's our biggest piece, is just let's keep those lines open so that we can make sure that we're providing something that's working best for your family and for your students, and that we're getting the most information as possible to know how to help your students move forward. Just real quick, I wanted to go through some of the resources that are out there. And when we do breakouts, PTA will have a breakout too, where you can go and talk to them. If you haven't already signed up for PTA, that's a great spot to go and connect with them and figure out how to do that. Our PTA does a ton. They run not just a food pantry, but also a lot of different food resources and things. They were out giving out meals at Dawson Park when the school district was shut down on handing out meals last week. So that's one thing that they do. But we have a pantry on site staffed by PTA that if you ever need food in your house, like it's just something, you can give them a call, send them an email, and they will open it for you and get you what you need to stock your pantry and make sure that you're taken care of. And similarly, they don't just have food in there. They also have other resources, like those things that necessities that you need. Shoes, I think they got in there. They even have like toiletries and other things. So just connect with them if you need any of those things, because that is a resource that not a lot of schools have a PTA that is as kind of prepared for that and supportive. They also do a ton of family events. I want to give a quick plug to the fact that they're going to get kind of a Halloween type activity going on in October when we get close to when it would be our harvest fair. They're going to figure out a way to get around kind of our COVID restrictions and find a fun way to celebrate as a community, because that's a huge piece for us. If you're new to BEH, like, the community at BEH is why we all the staff stays once we get here, why I never want to leave this place, and why our families, once they get here, realize how amazing it is to be a part of this community. So PTA is a huge part of that. They also do a lot of holiday drives when we get to those holiday times to send home food boxes over those breaks, send home gifts and things for families that might need them. So that's just a good group to be involved in. They're always looking for volunteers and helpers around organizing a lot of that stuff. So I wanted to plug that and let you know, if you have time, to go and check out their breakout room when we get done with this portion. Similarly, Sun SEI, Mr. Robert, who posted the YouTube channel, and he's also the one that helps me get all those videos up on YouTube and help with our Facebook page. Through them, they do our after school program usually when we're in person. So for this fall, it will be virtual after school classes that will be offered starting next month at some point. And you can go to his breakout room after this if you want to ask him some questions. He'll also have some kind of virtual educational supports where he's kind of working out some systems of how he might be able to help students, manage or learn how to manage their academic requirements virtually, with some staff to be able to connect and have some extra meetings and coaching on things like that. So that'll start around the same time that our virtual after school classes will begin. And then he also has wraparound services. So short-term rental assistance, energy assistance, those are things you can connect with him on, and he has the resources to be able to connect and help families on that. And then just our school or district as a whole, we're a distribution site, so meals are handed out at our site. And when it's not like it has been with the smoke and things, Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 3 to 5, you can pick up meals, and it's meals for the whole week. So like when you go pick up on Monday, you get the meals for Tuesday, Wednesday. You pick up on Wednesday, you're getting them for Thursday, Friday. You pick up on Friday, you're getting them for Saturday, Sunday, Monday again. So just knowing that that's out there. And that's in our parking lot, just driving through every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Once the smoke clears, it'll be there from 3 to 5. Tomorrow, I believe it's 3 to 4. We also have social emotional supports. When I talked about that team, they got some resources and things that I think went home in a lot of your, when you got your supply pickup. There was a letter kind of talking about some of those supports, but they also are just, if you need any sorts of social emotional supports for your students, for your families, you can call into the school and check in with us, and we will connect you with some resources and supports for that as well. Like I said, I'm apparently now anointed tech support as well. So we're working on getting some more tech support systems in place. But if you're having issues with any of your technology, just reach out to us, let us know, and we want to make sure we have working devices in your hands that can get you where you need them to get you. And then similarly, I wanted to plug right now while we're here, starting on Wednesday, we're gonna have in the parking lot, when they're doing meal service from 3 to 5 on Wednesday, we're gonna have supply or material pickups out there, so that if teachers might send you a message saying, hey, we wanted to provide some hard copies of these things, it'll be out there to pick up. And we're gonna do it every Wednesday, and it'll be from 10 to 12, so that we can catch an early time for families, or from 3 to 5 to come pick up if you're needing any supplies or things, or if your teachers send you a message saying, hey, this is something you can come get. We're going to have kind of like an opportunity to pick up some things and do some hands-on work, and so you're not always stuck to a screen, hopefully, and get some other options. And then, something to know about Boise-Eliot Humboldt, if you haven't been here very long, is we've always been creative. Our PTA, our partnership with Sun and SEI, our teachers, and we're always trying to think of ways to meet the needs of our families and to think about how to make school work. Because I think a lot of times when we stick into the traditional, we question why we're doing that, and we don't like to stick in that box. And so, even if as we started this year, all of our teachers were doing socially distant family meetings with families that were comfortable with that and wanting to do that. We did that in this end of the summer with a lot of families. We're also, as a district, they're going to be starting to do library book distribution, so where they'll be checking out book sets to families, and that'll be starting, I think, by next week. You can check in on the library breakout after this and kind of hear from Ms. Cardenas around that, to where you can get book sets to take home for your students and then trade them out weekly, bi-weekly, to come back and kind of trade for new books. And then if you didn't hear yet, we're also working on, I got a grant for Lego engineering kits. And one of the reasons why I got that grant is because I wanted to be able to send those home. So we're going to get about 100 Lego engineering kits at about 3 different levels. And our goal is to check those out to families. And I'm going to be working with, some of our STEAM people to record some videos about teaching kids how to use it, and then have kids go and build those, record it, and send it in. And we'll be rotating those kits through classrooms, so that one class might have it for 3 weeks and go through the curriculum and then check it back in with us. We'll inventory it, make sure it has everything, sanitize it, and then resend it out for the next classroom, so that we rotate through this year, just giving students opportunities to do some hands-on engineering and keep the STEAM work happening even when we're not in person. And so that'll be another piece. Again, also our regular supply distribution, trying to make sure we have pieces and things out there for kids to come and get for hands-on learning. And then I wanted to run this by, and I had some families asking at the beginning, and so this is something I'm going to send out in my next newsletter for people that are interested. But I had a lot of families asking about, how do we connect with each other? We used to connect in the hallways and get each other's information to figure out how to connect with each other, and figure out how to network and how to communicate, have our kids be able to get to know each other, especially for new families and our kindergarten families, but even some of our families that have been here for a while that now want to meet some of the new students. So one of the things I'm going to put in my newsletter next week is going to be this form. So I just want to give you a heads up to look for it, to kind of opt in to a student directory. So essentially, it'll go through and give you the option to say, put in your student's name, put in your name, put in your preferred contact information, and then put the grade in your school and teacher's name. So when you go through this, it'll have drop downs for choosing those things. And then once we get these all submitted, what we're going to do is we're going to then we're going to do them grade level. So you won't be going and looking at the entire schools because we don't feel like people would be that comfortable with that. It'll be more of, now if you have a first grader, you can go to the first grade directory and see the contact information of other families within those grade levels. So that's something that I'm going to put out in my next newsletter. I just wanted to give a heads up. And that's something, if you have questions or things about it, stick on when we go to breakouts and you can ask me about it if you want clarification or anything. All right, and I saw, let me make sure that I'm not all the way past here. Okay, there we go. I saw that Michelle made it. I wanted to real quick just introduce Michelle DePass is actually our school board member for our region, and she isn't just for BEH. She is for all of the feeders of Harriet Tubman and Jefferson. And Michelle, from what I know some of Michelle's family because they have been in PPS and in education for a long time. And so I love the fact, Michelle, that you are our school board rep because I know that you will rep us well, and I know you are. You know, you spent your whole life in Portland, and your whole family has been here for a long time, knowing kind of what we're dealing with here. So I appreciate you coming. I know you wanted to share a little bit, so I want to give you a chance to have the floor and talk to our families for a minute.
That's awesome. Thank you. I am really happy to be here tonight with you all. There's 77 people on the call. My name is Michelle DePass. I've been in Portland most of my life. I started my early years in Venezuela and in Mexico. I went to school in both of those places, but I've mostly gone to school at PPS here in Portland. Before I start, I want to just thank all of the parents, the principal, CAVE, the administrators, teachers, just, you know, for your perseverance and your resilience in this incredible time. Your creativity in figuring out how to bring services to students, and it's incredible. It's very stressful, and I just wanted to put that shout out to parents. I don't understand what you're going through because my kids are older, but I know it's a huge challenge. So yeah, I was born in the neighborhood. I still live in the neighborhood. I'm on like Mallory and Shaver. I've been here in this house for 16 years. Every place I've lived has been within walking distance of Boise-Eliot. I believe in the excellence of every child. I think all children can learn. I think all children are amazing as a group. I'm here to talk a little bit about the Portland Public Schools bond measure that we're referring in November. It'll be on the ballot. It's a $1.2 billion bond, which is a huge number. It has a lot of zeros after it. But the reason that I'm personally inspired to support it is not only because I'm a board member and that's part of my job, but because this bond measure gives us the opportunity to fund a Center for Black Student Excellence. We don't know what that looks like. You, as a community members, will hear more about that. That doesn't necessarily have to be a building. And the complete modernization of Jefferson High School, which represents an historic investment in Black children in Portland, maybe for the first time ever in the history of our school district, which goes back to 1847. So anyway, that's going to be on the ballot. It's a huge number. It is not a brand new tax. We're already paying it. If we're homeowners, we're already paying this tax. It's an extension and a renewal of that tax. In addition to the Center for Black Student Excellence and completely modernizing Jefferson High School, both of which will be community-led, community envisioned, we also have money in there to do, you know, the really boring things such as maintaining the roofs. Whenever we do roof work, we have to do seismic work. We're expecting a huge earthquake. Also investments in curriculum and technology. The COVID pandemic hit us like a ton of bricks. We were not prepared with technology. We know not every family has access to technology, but this bond measure will address some of those gaps that we know we have. We're already, I think, a one-to-one Chromebook. Our goal is for every student to have a Chromebook. I don't think we're quite there yet, but more importantly for them to have access to the internet. I don't want to go on too long, but I do want to share my email with a caveat that I have a full-time job and I volunteer in the community. I'm really interested in learning and working with your principal in how I can bring additional resources. For instance, There's a young Black man called me up the other day, and he said, I can make 2,000 meals a day, and I have 250 volunteers. I need you to help plug me in to the PPS system. And it is a system. It's hard to kind of figure out where the levers are in that system. But I know that as a single person, I have connections to resources such as that. And this is like good organic, you know, it's really good food. I've tasted it with my own mouth. And other connections to like energy and rent assistance. And so I'm hoping I can be, because I can't help everybody in the system, I hope I can help the schools within, you know, my sphere of influence. So I'll stop there. My email address is mdepass, DEPASS @pps.net. I do like hearing from parents most of the time. I like hearing from parents when they're happy and not really super angry, but we get the angry ones too. So if you have something to say, please don't hesitate. And know that I'm not on my PPS email all the time. As a city employee, I need to focus on my city job and do school board work nights and weekends. So, and after work. So really nice again to have the few minutes here. Thank you so much, Principal Kabe, for having me. And please reach out if you have something to say, good, bad, ugly, supportive.
Thank you for joining us, Michelle. And you know, we saw you out at our rallies in the summer too, so we appreciate you being out and joining us in all of that work. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So real quick, I want to walk through the breakout routines. And if you notice, I'm almost perfectly on time right now. I don't know how this is working out so well. So I'm going to show you kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this doc into the chat in a second. But I want to walk you through how to access it. So when you go into this, I got to go back. When you go into this doc, it's going to take you to a sheet, and I'm going to show you that sheet real quick. And then on it, you'll have a lot of choices of breakouts you can go to. All you got to do is click on the link that you want to go to, and then it'll take you to that meeting, similar to how you got to this meeting. So I'm going to say right now, teachers, if you're here, or people that are going to be manning meetings, you're going to probably want to start getting to it soon, because we got to have PPS people in there to let in people that aren't PPS ahead of us. So I just want to give a heads up on that for teachers. This would be your time if you want to make sure somebody, the organizer of the meeting, is there to let people in. And when I show you this right now, you can't click on the screen I'm showing you up here. You got to actually go to the link once I post it in the chat. And I can work on posting that while this is taking a minute. Oh, wait, I got it right here. Okay, so you'll see this thing come up, and then it'll show you a little table of what you want to go to. So pre-K meeting, you just go to the join pre-K meeting where it's all highlighted blue. I'd click on that. I'm going to show you an example one because he told me he was going to be ready for me. So if I wanted to go see Sun SEI, I would click on this meeting. Now, when you go to that meeting, you want to make sure that you end this meeting so you don't have two things talking to you at the same time. So make sure you just hang up on us here and then go to the one that you want. And so you'll see that thing pop up on the bottom, and then you can click on the link that comes up there. So if I click on that, I'm not going to do it right now, otherwise you'll have all sorts of feedback from me doing it. I click on that, I could go talk to Robert right now. So I'm putting it in the chat, and then you guys can go into that chat and click on that link, and then it'll give you a choice of going to all sorts of things. Go talk to the music teacher, go talk to your grade level teacher, go talk to your social emotional support team. And then if you want to come back and see me, I put the link for my meeting at the bottom of it too, so you can jump back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my recording, and then I'm going to stay on if people have questions they want to check with me about. Teachers, and I will be here till 7. Teachers will be in their breakout rooms until 7, but at 7 o'clock, we're going to start wrapping up just like we would if we were in the building, and kind of come on back. If you're having issues getting to the room, stay in here. I just saw somebody saying they have a hard time on their phone, so I'll figure out a way to get you the link you want if it's not working right away. But I'm going to stop the recording, and then I'll stay here for questions. Otherwise, feel free to start jumping back into and trying to check in on teachers.